This is James Taylor, and you're listening to The Creative Life. The Creative Life podcast is a show created for you, the creative. If you're looking for inspiration, motivation, and advice while at home, at work, or on your daily commute, then this show is for you. Each episode brings you a successful creative, whether that's a musician, writer, artist, designer, performer, educator, or creative entrepreneur. They share their journey, their successes, their failures, their creative process, their insights, and much, much more. In this episode, I speak with New York photographer John DeMato. We speak about fake smiles, niching down, photographing thought leaders, and making sure your portrait shoots don't suck. Enjoy this episode. Hey there, it's James Taylor, and I'm delighted today to be joined by John DeMato. John is a branded lifestyle portrait photographer who partners with thought leaders and high-level entrepreneurs to create high-volume image libraries that get them the visibility they deserve. More than just a photographer, John sets his clients up for success beyond the portrait session by coaching them on how to best leverage their image content for their websites, social channels, blogs, publications, advertisements, and various other needs. It's my great pleasure to have John with us today. So welcome, John.
Thank you for having me, James.
So share with everyone what's going on in your world just now.
Lots of stuff going on, just planting a lot of seeds, creating a lot of magic, and just trying to get the word out there and work with as many thought leaders and entrepreneurs as I possibly can.
So how did you get into this crazy world of photography? Where did it all begin for you?
Well, this particular niche that I'm working in now is about 5-6 months old. It started out as a more jack of all trades type of operation where I would pretty much shoot all different kinds of events and portraits and family stuff and kids and headshots and all that other stuff. And it took the help of one client to kind of get me focused and really honed me in on stuff that I really enjoy shooting. And that's kind of where this niche was born. It was born from the way that I would shoot headshots, with a lot of direction and a lot of nitpicky kind of pointers and just getting people comfortable in front of the camera, mixed with the way that I shoot my events, very candid, very in the moment, a lot of composition-based timing type things, and also mixed with the way that I shoot video, because I have a very diverse video background as well. I used to work in television.
Yeah, you worked on the Maury TV show. So what did you kind of, in working in TV production like that, what skills, what things were you able to kind of move across into the kind of what that you do now with thought leaders?
Right, to translate over. It's really the ability to have its timing. The ability, and also the ability to capture emotion effectively and to frame it in a way on camera that really brings home that emotion to people viewing it. And that skill is very, very important in what I do now, because I'm all up in people's faces shooting them. I'm all in trying to get all different kinds of emotions and different moods and feelings that they can use to translate, their stories and their captions along with these images to their followers on their social feeds.
Now sometimes when we think about, kind of portrait style photos of thought leaders or speakers, of authors, I have that horrible thing in my head sometimes of those terrible photos on LinkedIn, where they have these kind of fake smiles. Let's be polite. You're from the East Coast and I'm from the UK. We can be honest here. We don't have to, sweeten things up. But some of them are just terrible, and they're just really fake looking. So how, why has that kind of come about in that style? And what do you do to ensure that the clients that you work with, you do not go down that route?
Now, James, I'm from New York City. I have absolutely no problem being honest and with my opinion. I tell every client before a session, when you fake smile in front of my camera, I die a little bit on the inside. So don't do that. I hate them. I hate fake smiles. And the way that I ensure that these clients do not fake smile is by disarming them and getting them comfortable in front of the camera and having them kind of lose themselves in the moment rather than being lost in the fear of being in front of a camera, feeling weird and looking like a deer in headlights. Now, how do I do that? Well, everybody's different. People respond differently to different things, but by and large, I talk a lot of crap and make people laugh, and that disarms them, and it really gets them out of their head. And then I'm able to then dissect the moment and really kind of direct them and shape their posture, the way their head angle is to the camera, how they're looking to the camera, all of the subtle nuances that when you add them up all together, you're creating an authentic image that potential clients of theirs will resonate with them. And that's the point of these things. It's to start conversations with people without ever saying a word. That's what your photos are for, especially your profile pictures.
So there might have been a time where, like, those kind of portrait style shots, they were maybe used for celebrities or for actors or for authors, those kind of folks. But it seems more and more, even in organizations, you're kind of having to build your own personal brand, even if you're an entrepreneur within like a large company, large organization. So what do you think, what does great portrait photography do to help that individual build their brand, whether it's on the personal side or the professional side?
Well, portraits, especially profile portraits, are meant to represent authentic aspects of your personality. Everybody smiles different. What confidence looks like on your face looks different on someone else's face. So the idea is to have a range of images that illustrate different confident, approachable, and likable aspects of your personality, and those are the ones that you display, because those are the types of images that best represent you. And that's what you want to put out there. A photo of you looking nice in an outfit at a party when you're wasted with a drink in your hand from a selfie shot, high angle looking down, that's not exactly going to work. Is that a fun photo to post on your personal page? Sure. But that should be nowhere near your professional pages, because it sends the wrong message.
It's interesting, as you're saying that, I noticed well-known thought leader Tony Robbins. I was watching something he was doing the other day, and I kind of looked back and I noticed how his portrait photography has changed over the years. In those kind of, when did he launch? Like 1980s, late 80s or something. He had these really kind of, just kind of hammy, big teeth, like type of suit, type of look on the photos. And he makes fun of it himself now. If I look at his photography now, his portrait photography now, it's much edgier. It works in terms of the kind of the age that he's at just now. So you can see a development in his brand also, just by looking at those portrait photos.
Yeah. And he's the type of well-rounded personality that needs them the most, because he is absolutely everywhere. And you look at his feet, and it's not just his portraits, it's the event photos that they have, how they capture these magical moments that he has, these aha moments with his people in the audience for his presentations. It's unbelievable. But it just goes to show you how important this stuff is, because that's the way to get people's attention.
And you talked about that, finding that kind of authenticity in a photo and bringing that out, in the case of a portrait photo. And I'm thinking something the other day where I used a photo for something, I can't remember what it was for, and someone I worked with who's actually a photographer, he came to me and he said, "James, that's off-brand." That photo, he said, because he said, "I know you, and your fans," he said, "That's not you. That is just not. It's too much of a difference as well." And it made me kind of sit back a little bit and kind of rethink about the kind of personality, my own personality, and kind of what I want to ensure that's captured in kind of photographic form as well. So, how do you, when we think about these, our personality is so multifaceted. When it comes to kind of breaking that down into the essence of someone's brand, how do you even go about doing that if maybe that particular thought leader hasn't quite yet figured it out, him or herself?
Well, first of all, by the way, is saying, "James, your photo was off-brand," a nice way of saying, "James, the photo sucks," and delete it immediately. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Just checking on that.
Yeah.
Now, What I usually do in order to figure out these types of things is I have a pre-session strategy call, and I have a laundry list of questions to ask, and they range from trying to figure out what the client's brand is, what their personality is, what they're selling, who they are, who they serve. So even if they don't know exactly how to like elevator pitch themselves, they can answer these questions individually a lot easier. It's a lot more palatable for people to kind of digest and then spit out something that makes sense. So once I have at least the basics of it, I'm then able to kind of move forward from there and really position the session in a way that's going to produce images that they can leverage the most. And at the very least, confident, approachable, likable images. That is a constant across the board. Everyone needs those photos. Doesn't matter what you're selling. Doesn't matter if you're not selling. All that matters is that you want images that truly represent you in your best light. So,
and what role does, when you're having those kind of conversations, at what point do you start discussing locations, and what role does locations have in your portrait?
It's like question number 7, number 8. The idea is it's important to find out who they are, what makes them tick, what they do, who they serve, and that kind of answers the questions for locations. Because sometimes clients are it's the location is dependent upon what they do. If I've had some clients that require space of some sort to do what they do. Other clients, it's more, they work more on the phone, and it's one-on-one consultations on the phone. So they're kind of location independent. And in those cases, it's more about shooting images that just represent them in the way that work looks to them. So, it's all contingent upon each client.
One of the shots that you took, and I saw recently, and I absolutely loved it. And I can see it's not just, when we talk about brand, and I'm also just not talking about what her individual portrait shots look like, but I can see it being translated across pretty much everything that she does as well. Is a mutual friend that we have with Pia. And I think you did that great shot. I think it's on a book cover, which is like a half of her face with a like really strong red lipstick. She has this really kind of this kind of straight hair and everything. Talk to me about like with a client like that, for example. How does something like that come together, and what did you felt really worked well in terms of where the photography was able to really kind of support and build on her brand?
Well, that particular shot was taken as part of a series of shots that we took against the white wall in her studio in Brooklyn. It's one piece of the much larger pie that we did that day. We shot in a million different locations by her studio. But that particular shot worked well because we did a lot of playing in terms of her personality in front of the camera, making sure that her personality came out in front of the camera. So we did a lot of silly, sassy, fun, excited types of images to elicit those kinds of reactions the one that you had. It's meant to kind of bring out that personality in order to show people what she's about. And also the other reason why I shoot against a wall like that, especially for that type of image, is because those are very flexible types of shots, and that not only does that image work well as an image itself with the white wall and it's a crop and it's cool and that's great, but should she want to add text to that image, and instead of using it as a book cover, use it as a social post, and you could put a quote, you can put a passage, you can put a phrase in that white space that's by her head, and then all of a sudden that now becomes a very powerful piece of image content for her social posts, which she's done that type of thing with some of the other white standing against the white wall shots that we took that day. We took a lot that day. There's a lot of pictures.
I mean, that's one of the things that I know going through your site as well. You really push yourself on. The fact is, when you're not just going to get that one shot, and hopefully you'll get one shot that is just like defining of that particular person. That's great, but you're also creating lots of other images, enough to give someone like maybe a year's worth of things that they can repackage and reuse across all their different social platforms.
Yes. This is not, and that's a very huge point that you bring up, James. It's not about one shot. This is not editorial photography. This is not, I want this photo to be in Esquire magazine for this particular ad. Don't ask me why I just brought up Esquire magazine, but whatever. The point being is that it's not just for the one shot. It is meant. This session that I conduct is meant to create a diverse and versatile image library that represents all different kinds of emotions and moods that represent you, your business, and your brand, so that you are able to marry those images to stories that inform, inspire, and entertain your followers and prospective clients. It's all about volume, but high quality, high volume images.
One of the other things I love about you, which is quite different from a lot of other photographers, is how you've really kind of productized your work. When you think of like photography is a service type of thing, but you're very clear in terms of the different types of packages that you work with clients on, and whether you want to go from they're just getting started, this is kind of what you need, some initial shots, to something much bigger like what we were kind of talking about that Pia obviously worked with you on as well. So was that a very conscious decision to productize yourself in that way?
Yes, as I mentioned earlier in the conversation, I was a jack of all trades photographer for many years. And just grabbing and hustling and shooting whatever I could in order to, get the job. And it was conversations with people like Pia and other thought leaders and coaching clients that I've worked with in the past that have really kind of shaped this whole niche of going after a very specific type of person who has a specific type of need, who is willing to invest their time and their money into this particular product. That's really made the difference for me over the past couple of months.
And it reminds me a little bit of, we had another guest on the show a while back, Paul Jarvis, who's a web designer based in, I think he's in Vancouver area. But he is the web designer to the top thought leaders, especially women. So people like Marie Forleo. He does all like Marie Forleo's web stuff. He also does Chris Carr, who's very big in the health and kind of well-being space as well. And it's impossible to book him because he's so in demand, because he really is niched down into those kind of thought leaders, like you are doing just now with photography.
That's that's the ironic part about it. The irony is that you would think that the less people you go after, the less work you get, but it's actually quite the opposite. The less people you go after, the more, because you're amplifying your message to the right types of people, as opposed to just bullhorning a message for everyone here and hoping for the best. It's not. That's a little bit less refined, and it's also a lot less successful.
So you talked about that, the jack of all trades period of your photography career as well. Can you maybe tell us about a time when you worked on a project, you gave it your heart and your soul, but for whatever reason it didn't turn out like you'd hoped? And more importantly, what were the lessons that you took away from that experience?
It's a good question. We have a lot of failures in our past.
That's part of being creative.
I mean, absolutely. Well, the thing about that creative process is now, as you go along, you realize that those failures are actually a huge component of creating success, and it is a part of that journey. And it's important to really, appreciate the journey that you do go on, because you do get a lot of life lessons. I would say I mean, I have done so many different types of websites. I mean, this is the one that you've looked at is probably like the 12th or 13th incarnation of that JohnDeMato.com.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy and the reason being is because I would change it from a portfolio site that shows everything I've shot to just, maybe event photos, or I've done one where it was event photos and family portraits. And I've had one website where I not only had photos, but I included my video production stuff, and not just my video production stuff, but my demo reels from my TV stuff, in addition to private clients, in addition to all of this other photo stuff. So basically, I had a mess. I've had several versions of my website looking like a complete and total mess, but not realizing it at the time. But it's growing pains. It's trying to understand, to get in where I fit in, understand who am I really trying to go after. And at the end of the day, up until very, very, very recently, I really didn't know what the hell I was doing. So,
but I think that's interesting because you are, in terms of the clients you have with thought leaders, they have all, or pretty much most of them will have gone through that exact same thing in terms of from a positioning standpoint, trying to position where they are. And I know a lot of the really really great ones now. They've kind of moved away from the big portfolio sites of like, here's every single product, every single coaching program, every single thing I have, to what's the one thing that, and it's the one thing that is able to bring someone into their funnel. And then I always think it's like a bit like an iceberg. You just see this one tip of the iceberg thing, but it's only when you get into it then that you can get further in. That person or their team says to you, well, you've done this, you the next logical step is this. And it's almost like thinking about in terms of a product stack. Like you get in with the iPhone and then suddenly you have the MacBook or the iPad, then the MacBook, and then the iMac. It's like you've bought the entire product suite.
Yes, I actually am that guy with the Mac stuff, by the way.
Well, I'm sitting you just there with about 3 different Mac devices in front of me, so I'm with you there.
Yeah, no, totally. And and you're absolutely right. That's the thing. It's really refining that message that is in order to really serve a very particular group of people who could really benefit from your services. That's really what it's about. And after getting my ass kicked for many years, it's really nice to have a very refined message. And I know who I'm talking to, because the thing about it is, it's not just your website that you're changing. It's everything you do, including how you talk to people about what you do. Yeah. Because that niche serves everything, and it makes everything a lot more easy in terms of writing content, because now I'm just talking to one type of person. I'm not talking to 50 million people. I don't have to worry about that anymore. And that's really the key to the whole thing. It's just keeping the message simple.
I think people like Seth Godin, they talk about that, in order to go big, go small. Really kind of focusing on the ideal client, the ideal customer, choosing your client, choosing your customer. And I know that the way that you set in the pricing, I mean, I don't know the world of portrait photographer, but it seems to be, it's not like at least the inexpensive option, but it was also not the most ridiculous option. So you're able to bring in a good chunk of the kind of thought leaders out there. They can kind of come in, but also what you're doing is, I guess you're purposely excluding people that maybe aren't in that stage yet in terms of what they're trying to do. They're still maybe trying to get their head together, like, who are they? What kind of thought leader are they? What is their topic? What is their niche? And so by kind of betting your pricing, you're able to really kind of go in at those kind of people who've kind of got some of this stuff partly figured out, and they just need someone like you that can come across and create a visual component to that.
Right. Well, I'm all about not wasting people's time or have my time wasted anymore, and it's about qualifying people from the moment that they set foot in front of the website. Mm-hmm. I want them to know what their investment is going to be if they want to work with me, and I want them to know immediately, because again, everybody's busy. We all have stuff to do. And it's like a phone consultation that takes 20 minutes to get to the same result of I can't afford you is a waste of time. Yeah. It's a waste of time to them and myself. So there's no point in that. And that's why I firmly and proudly paste my prices on my website.
And in this creative journey you've had, can you tell us about maybe a key insight or a light bulb moment where you went, okay, this is the direction I want to be going in my work, or this is maybe a key distinction that you made. You went, okay, I get it. This is where I need to go next.
The aha moment came during the first couple. I've had several aha moments, but really what it boils down to is one of the first sessions that I had as I was shooting it. I realized to myself, I can do this for a lot of people. And this feels awesome to me because the style in which I'm shooting, the ability to create such interesting and different looking shots from scene to scene really, really spoke to me. And it let me know that, this kind of stuff is very versatile for someone to have because they can post day after day and the stuff doesn't look similar. You can mix it up and it looks really unique and diverse. And that ultimately, it was the deliverables themselves and just looking at, the different shots through the first session that I did, the second and third one as well, really, really got me excited to see the value that I could provide. And yeah, we've just been building from that point on.
Wonderful. And we haven't really spoken about tools or apps, but do you have an online resource or a tool or a mobile app like Evernote, for example, that you really love and you find really useful in your work?
What apps do I use? Honestly, one of the biggest apps I use is the weather app because if it sucks outside, it's going to be tough for my shoot. Trying to No, the only apps that I love going to the most are Instagram.
Yeah, and it's funny. I mean, you mentioned the weather app, but I mean that's actually really important because when you might kind of set up a time with a client, okay, we're shooting this day, and then it's really, really bright, it's very difficult to kind of get those shots in that type of light as well.
Absolutely, but what? Actually, one of the apps that I really I love and I use on a daily basis is I downloaded a notebooks app from, I forgot the manufacturer, but it's not like the built-in notes app. This one's much more robust. I can create separate books and chapters and edit it's a very useful tool. Basically, what I use it for is to collect every single idea that I get in the middle of the street, or when I'm walking, or when I'm listening to music, or when I'm just at the gym. I literally write all these ideas down, whatever they be, content ideas or ideas for the photo shoot that I'm going to do with a client, or potential new specials and offers. Like I love productive type things, and that app has been super helpful for me.
Great, and we'll put a link to that at jamestaylor.me. People just type in John DeMato and you're going to get these links that we're speaking about just now as well. If you could recommend just one book and also one record, one album to our listeners, what would they be?
Well, the book that I would offer as an amazing resource is Pia's book, Badass Your Brand by Pia Silva. That book is a game changer because it's essentially what I've built my brand, my business model on through that book. And not just because she mentioned me in the book.
And also, if you want to see example of great branding, you should get that book and look at like Pia as an example. We'll put link to the book here as well, because I think that's a great example of, obviously you took a lot of the kind of photography. I don't know, did you take all the photography? Because I saw some shots of like even just little social media things of her holding the book and pages of the book, and there's little things like that as well.
Yep, all of it. I mean, obviously the ones that were taken with an iPhone, no, but I have taken some iPhone shots of her at her book signing. But I've shot her. We've had actually two branded portrait shoots, one studio and outside. And then I shot her book signing party that was in New York City. So and a workshop she did. Yes, I've shot a lot of her face.
And what about the record or the album? What would that be?
I'm I'm a podcast guy. But if the stuff that I can tell you, one of the bands that I really love listening to is a rockabilly band here from the States. It's called Social Distortion. It's a little old, it's a little dated, but they got some kick-ass stuff that inspires me to get through the day.
Wonderful.
Yep.
We'll put a link to that as well. And finally, John, let's imagine if you woke up tomorrow morning and you had to start from scratch. So you have all the tools of your trade, all the knowledge you've acquired over the years, but you know no one knows you. You have to restart. What would you do? How would you restart?
Well, first I'd have a good cry, kind of stare at the wall, ponder life, figure out what the hell happened, and why can't I remember anything. And then, actually, no, you said I have the knowledge, so I didn't forget anything. Okay, I just don't know anyone.
You don't know anyone, no.
Okay.
I'm going to move you this is what I'm going to do is I'm going to magically move you from New York and I'm going to move you to London where you maybe don't know anyone.
Okay. I guess wow, that's a great question. I would probably, well, I would do what I'm doing now. I would search out my niche. I would look up thought leaders, book authors. I would look up the solopreneurs, high-level entrepreneurs, different types of service providers in the London area, and start making conversations with these people. Reach out through Facebook, reach out through LinkedIn. I would just introduce myself, add them on Instagram, create dialogues with them through their image posts, engage them on their LinkedIn, in their groups, all of that stuff. Just, it's about creating relationships. It's not about the sale. In order to make a sale, you need to know these and like and trust these people first. So that's what I'm going to do. Start making new friends.
On that note of connecting, what is the best way for people then to connect with you and learn more about your work and maybe kind of reach out to you to do a shoot with yourself?
Okay. Well, the easiest place is to go to my website, johndemato.com. And if you're interested, you can sign up for my newsletter. I'm about to start posting a couple days a week of some good stuff. I also have, for people who might be interested, who have a portrait session already booked, but they're getting ready for that session, I actually have a free guide that I'm giving away that's full of some juicy tips for them to leverage for their session. It's called the Ultimate Guide to Making Your Portrait Shoot Not Suck.
To the point and on brand.
Yes, sure is.
and we'll have a link to that here on this page as well, so people can go and check out that guide. John, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure catching up with you today, learning about the creative work that you do. I look forward to maybe next time. I know I'm going to be in New York soon, so next time we'll hang out when I'm in town.
That would be great, James. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, James Taylor here again. And if you're interested in living a more creative life, then I'd love to invite you to join me as I share some of the most successful strategies and techniques that high-performing creatives use. I put them all together in a free downloadable ebook that you can get by going to jamestaylor.me. That's jamestaylor.me to get your free downloadable ebook on creativity.